Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Detroit in Black and White, our Saturday morning's edition. Listen, are you lit guys listening? Listen.
We're listening.
We have on deck Mr. Allan Lengel of Deadline Detroit, um, and a contributor to the Washington Post. We also have our brother from downriver, the former chief of the Trenton Police Department, Jim Nardone. We
Good
also
morning.
have those people that are joining us in these YouTube streets. Listen, if you're watching Detroit in Black and White, we want you to do something. We want you to like, subscribe, and share. To subscribe is free. You can also join us in the comment section, or you can use this little link that's in the left-hand corner of the screen, and you can come on into the room. Welcome to Detroit in Black and White. Good morning, Janet. All right, so we're gonna start with outrages.
Sure. Let's
right.
do that.
All right, okay, who's gonna start first? Who on deck first?
I'll start. I just want to talk real quickly. I know it's the war in Iran and now really the Middle East right now. My impression was that the U.S. and Israel were going to go in for 4 or 5 days, do what they needed to do, and pull out. Instead, we're in this total mess where each one is bombing each other's oil fields and gas fields. We're seeing it right here in the pump, the gas prices, but also just the total mess there and the lies day after day. There's never a clear explanation why we did it. I mean, look, own up to it. You want to do this, tell the American people what is the reason that you did it. They lied and said Israel was going to go ahead anyways. We know that if the U.S. told Israel don't go, Israel wouldn't have went. Then we have Trump lying about Israel bombed some of the oil fields there in Iran, and Trump's and as a result, Iran attacked Qatar and attacked some of their energy fields, and so Trump says, "Oh my God, we didn't know anything about that," and it comes out that they did know about it. And it's insane to think there wouldn't be coordination between the two countries. And so we're just getting a lie after lie. It's like, and so it just makes it feel messier and dirtier. And we're all paying for it, and we're going to be paying for it. I mean, the oil fields, the natural gas fields are being blown up. The Straits of Hormuz ships are being bombed and stuff like that. And we're feeling it here. Not to mention, it's just, there seems like no plan. I mean, the regime change is not going to happen. It's like the idea that Russia going into Ukraine, they were going to take over in a week. It's not going to happen. The Iranians have a deep bench. You can keep lopping off, one leader after another, and there's more and more leaders there. They're set up that way, the same that Hamas was set up that way. So I think we need some honesty, and we need to find some way to conclude this. As he calls it, an excursion instead of an incursion. But I mean, we the American people, it's like, we can't afford healthcare. We can't afford to help people out with their healthcare, but we're spending billions, and now Hegseth is asking for $200 billion more to execute the war. And he says, it costs money to kill bad people, but there has to be a balance there and a realization that we're not going to have regime change, which a lot of people would. I mean, the Iranian government is not beloved, and even among their people, I was listening to NPR this morning, they were saying a lot of the Iranian people are happy that they're scared, and at least 600 have died, if not more than 1,000 have died. So they're not happy about that, but they don't like the government in which they're under. So, anyways, that's my spiel. So
I have a question for you, Allan.
Mhm.
When you talk about the oil prices, what are you hearing out in these Detroit streets about the oil prices? And how do you feel about it? Has it really hit your pocket?
You know what? It hasn't hit me as hard because I live in the city. I don't drive as much. It's like I'm not driving every day. There's some days where I might go 2, 3 days that I walk to a work share space at Wayne State that I use. But people, yeah, I mean, it's I think under $3 before this whole thing started, and now it's $4, and it's going to go higher. And people are scratching their head. I mean, you can go anywhere in Royal Oak, Detroit. Um, it's everywhere, and people are scratching their head after a while, going, "Why are we continuing this? What's the goal here? Realistically, what is our goal? Because it's not going to be regime change." So,
Jim, you going to weigh in?
I'm good on this particular. I have no. There's
Well,
no debate. I guess Allan. I mean, Allan's right on, and we need a plan. We need if you're gonna go in and attack a foreign country, you better have a plan. And you can't. It's not a weak plan. It's a long-term plan. And it appears that the Trump administration has no long-term plan. I think they thought that Iran would fold and it would be over in 2 or 3 or 4 days, and this could be a long 2-3 year.
yeah.
so you know what? I think the war is going to end when gas is $5 a gallon. I think.
You think it's suddenly going to end
I
because
think
gas is
people will
$5?
just be so outraged. I think that's the measure of where we're going to say, okay, all the American people. And we have next week. I think it's next weekend is No King's Day. We're going to see a lot of really anger about not only about Trump, but also about this war that's going on that nobody really understands. It's starting to become less and less understandable. In the beginning, people say, all right, knock out any nuclear capabilities, although we supposedly knocked them out the first time. But I think now people are puzzled and they're bothered by it.
Yeah, I'm going to go to some of our comments as it relates to Allan, your outrage. Mr. 40 Scratch says, no, there never was. Iran has been on the list way before Trump. He is lost and just living out his last time in D.C. Kenneth Powell, good morning. He says, waste of money. Who's paying for this stuff? Less is more says, war contractors need to upgrade their bunkers. Stephanie Jackson, Jill Sheridan, they both say good morning. Marlon Holt says, I thought Venezuelan oil was the fallback. Tamari Kimmett says, Israel has a greater Israel agenda and is why America is in the mess. Less is more says war contractors need more money to upgrade their bunkers while the masses hide under their kitchen table. Karen C. Winston says, gas has gone up over $1.30 per gallon since the beginning of the darn bombing. DeBragg says, it's all Israel's fault. Marlon Holt says, Secretary Rice supports it. And Kenneth Powell says, fix our infrastructure instead of police other lands. Kenneth Reed says, good morning. And Jill Sheridan says, the reality is just because Trump started the war does not mean he's going to have any ability to say when it ends. And Kenneth Reed says, I'll use the Mike Tyson analogy. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the nose.
Good comments.
I'll say something real quick about it. Israel's fault. I mean, look, it's in Israel's interest to disarm or weaken or whatever it is that's going on there. But, Israel didn't force the U.S. into this. Trump is always all in for, he's got all these toys and he likes showing power and he admires other countries where their military, like Russia, where their military tries to be, bullies. And so Israel didn't force, believe me, Trump could have told Israel, no, we're not doing this and you're not going in there. And that would have been the end of that. So, no.
Well, Tamari says, we need to get out of this mess and say no to Israel. Do not give them $200 billion more dollars. Tell Israel no. And I think that is a rub for a lot of people. We have the United States has money to spend on all these other things. And as you pointed out, Allan, there's some ills that needs to be fixed here in the United States, and it does not seem to be a priority. As a matter of fact, I would submit that it's political fodder. Timothy Squire Bay says Israel attacked Iran first, but when Iran attacked back, they want to call anti-Semitic. DeBragg says Israel started this at the fall of the Ottoman Empire and stole the Palestinian land. Okay, so we're going to change. Okay,
there's some debate over that, but there's arguments on both sides on that. So
right. So we're going to turn to Jim and his outrage. And while you're talking about your outrage, you know what I'm doing.
You're looking at it, so I need a minute.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for your comments this morning. There's just some great perspectives, and I appreciate it. Les Little is on deck. Less is more. Thank you for coming back today. You really gave it to us last night while you gave it to Eric, and we appreciate you being here, and we respect you. And no, we don't want you to change the channel. We want the folks, our friends, our family out there that is participating and continue to participate, because we can all disagree, we can all agree, but problems don't get solved when everybody agrees with everybody else.
Right. And you know what the wonderful thing about it, I know I do, and I believe Allan does. I know he does because he's called me a few times, as well as you, Jim. We have conversations. We may disagree. Some of the people in the comment may disagree or agree or give us a different perspective. The wonderful thing about it is that I go back and I think about the things that were said, because that's how we learn. Because, Les may know something more than he may know something well-versed on the subject that I'm not well-versed on. The same with Allan, the same with Jim. So anybody that comes on Detroit in Black and White, be it in the comment section, be it you coming into the room using the camera, we good, as long as you're not calling us names.
Well, we're going to bring Les Little on, but I'm going to get my outrage here.
Okay,
if we could,
go ahead.
Real quick. Go ahead.
No, so we've got a guest,
yes.
but we're going to finish this, and then we're going to bring on our guest, Dr. Anil Kumar, who is running for 11th Congressional District, and maybe we can. We're excited to have Dr. We'll coordinate
Kumar on the show today. I want to just talk about an incident I just learned about. I guess this is a 2022 incident, and it's on video. It's in a place called it's in a different country. It's called Childersburg, Alabama. That's a joke, of course. A young pastor, I don't know, maybe in his 30s. It's all online. His name is Michael Jennings. He's a pastor in Childersburg, Alabama. He was watering the neighbors' lawns when somebody called the police on him. Mr. Jennings was just minding his own business, watering the neighbor's lawn, when the police showed up, and they asked him who he was. And he said, "I'm Pastor Jennings. I live across the street." Well, that didn't satisfy. I guess it was maybe the county, I'm not sure, some police agency down there in Alabama. So they arrested him. Almost immediately, the criminal charges were dismissed, but there was a civil proceeding, and it ended up in the Alabama Supreme Court. And Alabama Supreme Court said that the police officers were in the right. They had every reason to demand his identification. Well, I'm going to tell you, under the Constitution, the Alabama Supreme Court is absolutely wrong. And Mr. Jennings has every right to sue that police agency. There is no indication he was not committing a felony. There was no suspicion that Mr. Jennings was committing a felony. He was watering the damn lawn.
Is that a felony in Alabama?
Anyway, he was arrested. This is a 2022 case. It's online. The whole video is online, and I did not get to see it all, and I was hoping to look at it. I haven't had an opportunity to see it, but Michael Jennings, Pastor Michael Jennings in Alabama, which is still in the United States, although I'm not sure they think it is. I expect we'll end up in the United States Supreme Court, but there's a huge difference between, as Vanessa will explain, reasonable suspicion and probable cause. Reasonable suspicion that a crime may be occurring is Terry v. Ohio. This is nothing like that Supreme Court case. So could you explain that to our viewers?
I'm looking at this, and this is the thing. We all know we have the United States Constitution, and all the states are united. And as long as the laws in the state does not conflict with federal law, you're good. I'm looking here, and it says that they have a stop and identity law. So that stop and identity law says that the person, it says that officers can demand to see a person's identification under the state's stop and identity law. And it goes on to say that a request for physical identification when a suspect provides an incomplete or unsatisfactory response to an officer's demand to provide his or her name and address and an explanation of his or her action, is a violation of the law. So I think what you're saying is that the Supreme Court there in Alabama got it wrong. Am I correct?
Well, the police officers got it wrong
Right.
to start with, all right? And, Mr.
Absolutely.
Duckett, if you're out there, you say always stick up for the police, but I tell you what, this is outrageous.
I agree with you. So what happens is now this is a setup to go to the U.S. Supreme Court and challenge that state's law. What is it called again? The identity, whatever I called it. Let me see. Let me go back and see what they call it. The stop and identity law. So that has to be challenged. I agree with you, Jim, about reasonable suspicion and the Ohio case. But what happens is when you have instances like this is why we have a Supreme Court, because now you can, first of all, you can, appeal it. And then from appealing it, then you can go to the United States Supreme Court. Okay.
So he's in favor out there for the neighbor.
Yeah. So, I'm not surprised that it happened in Alabama. I'm surprised that the people in Alabama are not raising HE double hockey sticks about this law. I don't know when this law went into effect, when they passed this law, but I see huge problems with this, huge problems. So this is one of those cases where I think we should all keep our eye on, because I don't think that this is the last of it.
It seems that, sometimes laws can be so ridiculous that judges can use some common sense in interpreting the laws, and not just, it ends up, this is just stupid.
Absolutely.
It's just ignorance, and we rely on judges to sort of put it in the context. If somebody wants to appeal their ruling and say, based on the law, they didn't adhere to the law or whatever, but we see judges all the time try to interpret the law to real life and common sense.
And this isn't what Terry said. This isn't what Terry versus Ohio said.
Right.
Terry
It's not what Terry versus Ohio said. But I think it's interesting that Karen Winston says that he was asked to water the lawn by the homeowner
while they were on vacation.
But that is why the criminal charges was dismissed, because they knew it was some BS. But then he filed, I get from what you're saying, because I didn't read the whole thing, is that he filed a civil suit. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so under the civil suit, the court is saying, hey, well, we already know beyond a reasonable doubt is criminal. But when you're talking about civil, that's a different benchmark that you have to meet in terms of proving your case. It's a lower standard, is what I'm saying.
The preponderance of the evidence, right?
So it's interesting that the Supreme Court in Alabama says, hey, they, this is, the cops are good. Now, other thing is something that Dwella pointed out, and I was getting ready to say that, is what about the immunity of police officers when they're on their, they're doing the job as police officers?
I would suggest
that's a question that I'm sure should have been asked if it was not asked in the lawsuit. I don't think this is the end of it. So I think that this is one of those cases that we need to keep our eye on. And I think the people in Alabama really need to challenge this, because to me, this is some BS. That means that a cop can ask you for identity to identify yourself under any circumstances, and that is ridiculous.
All right. Do we want to go to a commercial, and then
Sure.
how are we going to?
Yeah, we'll
We've
go to
got
break.
Les.
Yep.
We've
Is our
got-
guest on deck?
Yeah, we've got our guest is here in the
Okay,
studio.
we have a Les as well.
We have Les. So how do we
Okay.
want? We want to. All right, let's go to commercial. Then we'll talk to Les for a couple minutes, and
right.
then we'll bring on Dr. Kumar.
Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
Okay, we are back. So Les, we want to let you say a few words before we bring on our guests. Is there anything in particular you want to talk about, or welcome to our show.
Hey, Les.
Good morning, Vanessa, Allan, and Jim. You know, I did see that clip, Jim, about the pastor, and one of the neighbors did say, "Hey, he is the pastor. He lives here," and all that. But I called because of what Allan said about the people of Iran being in distress. You know, the people here in this country have been in distress. Being that I'm an African American man, our history have been quite covered with distress. When States United get involved in our life, we keep on calling about what the people of a different country are being in distress, but we never give any consideration about the people here in this country being in distress, and that we should be coming to our own rescue instead of trying to go around trying to rescue other countries.
So you're talking about priorities.
Yeah, our priorities are messed up, and then they come to ask for $200 billion more. Come on, we got people here that's homeless and starving, and we are concerned about other people. See, that's a disturbing analysis that I keep on hearing, and we cannot continue to keep on bringing that scenario up about rescuing other countries.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you know, when we talk about healthcare in this country, where we've denied supplemental, Obamacare for a lot of people are going to go without healthcare, and we say we don't have the money, and then they ask for $200 billion more for a war that's starting to look more and more questionable. And certainly, the American people have a right to ask questions and really demand answers and really demand an end at some point. We just can't have an open-ended war again. It's just of no benefit to us. But I appreciate it. So we're going to bring on, unless you can stick around if you have any questions, we're going to bring on our next guest is Dr. Anil Kumar. He is a urologist. His offices are in Rochester Hills and Pontiac. He's affiliated with Ford Hospital and I think Trinity Hospital there. He is interesting. He's running in the 11th Congressional District, and he's running as an independent. He's running as an independent in that district, which is currently held by Haley Stevens, who is running for U.S. Senate. And so here, Doctor, you know what? We're going to switch you around. I'm going to have you sit in this seat here, and we're going to fire away. All right. I don't know, Vanessa, do you have any questions to start off, or you want?
Well, good morning, first of all. Welcome to Detroit in Black and White. So The question is, why are you running as an independent?
Great question, Vanessa. First of all, good morning to all. And it is indeed an honor to be here. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Let's start with the question that you have asked. Why independent? I have been a lifelong Democrat, but things have changed in the party. And I can give you a little analogy of what Mahatma Gandhi said about Christianity. And what he said was, I like your Christ, but I'm not sure about your Christians. And so that is exactly what I was facing. I like the ideology. I'm a Democrat. We have to work for the people. We have to do what is right for the underprivileged, for the people, and for the worker class, for the unions. But the parties have changed. And so, yes, I love the ideology, but I cannot go with the ideologues because it's not.
What don't you like?
Well, there are a few things. Number one, it has become such a partisan fight that we are now no longer taking care of the issues. For me, and I always say this, I'm going into the politics not to be a politician, but because of the politicians. Because for 30 years, I have heard this. We will do this for healthcare. We will do that for my education. We will do this for the working class. But has anything changed? No. And that is what I feel that some independent thinkers who have the right ideology of being Democrats need now to step up onto the plate and make the change for the people. It's people over parties. And that's one of the main reasons to do that.
I have a question. When a lot of people like to brag and say, "Oh, I'm not a politician" and stuff like that, but then they get to Washington and there's so much bureaucracy, and the politicians, some of the smarter ones, are the ones who know how to navigate and get things done. Do you end up just being a naive person coming into politics thinking that you're bragging that I'm not a politician, and then you end up getting buried?
A great question and a great observation. That is one more reason why people over party makes a difference, and being independent gives me the chance of being actually able to enforce my ideology and my thought process. And I'll give you an example. For example, I'm on the board of governors at Wayne State University. 6-7 years ago, when I started, the board was all divided. Nothing was really being able to be done. Then we got together, and now if we have not been in the news, we're working together. We have brought Wayne State to be one of the most affordable places. As a matter of fact, the Michigan Promise allows people, children whose parents make less than $80,000 to have a free education. Wayne State is one of the topmost research institutes. So those are the changes we can make. And that is where I went into medicine. I called it a calling. It's a vocare, it's a vocation. And that's the calling for me in politics. And if I cannot make a change, I should not be there. So I am really going with the passion, because as an immigrant, I see that the honor of being in America, of the American dream. And for me, I cannot see it go down the track. I did not come to America to be in a third world where education for our children, as you probably know, urban and rural education, 60% of our kids cannot speak, write, or do math. 30 years from today, these are our lawyers, these are our doctors, these are our engineers, these are our politicians. Is that the country that we'll be looking for? So that is one more reason that we people who are really not vested into the politic of their life, not career politicians, need to step onto the plate and make a change.
So, Dr. Kumar, everybody has a personal story. People are interested in your personal story. So tell our friends out here, tell us how you ended up here. Tell us about when you came to the United States. Tell us your story.
So that is the American story. I came here, I was doing some studies in England, and let me go back a little more. When I was growing up in India, we had an American library, and I would go on Thursdays, the day we had school off, to read the books, the Constitution, physics, math books from America. And so then after I finished medicine, and I realized that in India, the systems would not allow me to actually get what my full potential is, I decided to leave. And so I went to England to do higher studies. And then I got the opportunity to come to Wayne State University and a research job. So Wayne State gave me the research job, and they promised to do the next best thing is to give me a green card.
Okay. And this was in the 1980s.
That was in 1984.
Okay.
A great year for me. Like the book 1984, that's my 1984. Then they gave me the residency in urology. So that is a career. And as I was a fellow, I met this wonderful, wonderful lady from West Branch, Michigan, who was a medical student. And so we met in April, married in September of the same year. So technically, Wayne State gave me a wife.
And your wife is a doctor as well?
She's a doctor. She's a family doctor.
Uh-huh.
And we have 2 kids who went to Wayne State. They're both doctors.
Oh, wow.
And now I'm the board of governors, Wayne State University. So this is a full circle.
Wow.
Where America gave me a fulfillment of a dream, and I am here to serve on the board. So that's part of my story. And then, of course, I went into practice.
And tell me, you're running, you're a doctor, and we've seen so many changes in the medical field, and we see some doctors dropping out saying, there's not enough money anymore in it for us, like insurance and all the restrictions are making it tougher, and some doctors aren't accepting Medicare or Medicaid. What needs to be, it seems like the system, we see graduates come out of medical school with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt for student loans. What's wrong? How do you change the system? Or is it just so broken that you can't fix it?
So the first thing is to get into Congress. Then I can change the system. Second, at all levels of
What do you want
healthcare,
to change?
all levels of healthcare, starting with the patients. Our patients are subjected to such a complicated healthcare system, especially with the insurances. There are so many insurances with so many subsets that even the most educated patients are unable to really fathom what is covered, what is not covered. Now, one of the solutions was a part of the accountable Obamacare, and that was a public option. So what happened there? 6 senators who were Democrats voted against it. And the reason, they said, because it would be undue burden on insurance companies. Well, that is the problem number one, because everybody has a lobbyist. Hospitals have lobbyists, doctors, nurses, pharmaceuticals. So who is the lobbyist for the patient?
Nobody.
Well, yes,
Themselves.
the congressperson should be the lobbyist for the, but the congresspersons either don't understand the complexity or are sold to the lobbyists. So number one, we have to get rid of the lobbyist influence on the congressional people. Number two, we talk about education of, say, medical education and debt-free. $200,000 plus is the debt. And not only for education to be a doctor, for education to be an engineer, education to be a lawyer, education to be a plumber, whatever. Now, one of the ideas that I have floated with my finance people that most of them have agreed will be a good idea is, why don't we have all those that are going into the skills, whether it's a plumber or a doctor, take the debt, but once they start earning, make it a tax credit. All right. So what happens is technically you get back your money. There is no debt. So what happens to the nation? Yes, there will be a deficit up to 10 years of about $150 billion. But when you get the calculation of how many people will be elevated to getting better jobs, not flipping burgers, being plumbers, being carpenters, being doctors, then in 20 years, the calculation is you're $8 trillion plus. So this is just one of those ideas. Pharmaceutical, we are paying too much money for pharmaceuticals, needs to be corrected. We have physicians who want to practice medicine a lot of us went into being doctors because from the heart we want to serve the people. Well, you can't do that anymore because corporations are taking over the hospitals. So now they're putting profits over patients.
We see that at Beaumont Hospital, where
And you've
the anesthesiologist, which was run by an investment group, was a great anesthesiology group, but then they brought in a cheaper one, so they saved money. But we've seen some mishaps there.
So we have some questions from
Yeah,
our
go ahead.
viewers. Less is more. Is this a paid campaign ad? No, this is not a paid campaign ad. Thank you, Les. Will you succumb to the Zionist lobby if elected? Is kind of a pointed question. Will you succumb to the Zionist lobby if elected? I think they're probably referring to AIPAC. Is that?
Probably AIPAC is considered.
What are your
the
thoughts,
most
I guess?
influential.
Well, I am not taking any PAC money. So the issue of being sold to any lobbyists or PACs is out of the question.
Sure.
And are you self-funding your campaign, or how is that working?
And again, I have to give my family a lot of credit because, yes, I am self-funding a lot because, again, that is the give back to the American dream.
Okay.
And luckily for me, I have a family that is very welcoming to the idea. We are all right financially. We don't need anything else. So the blessings that God has given us, we would like to share it with
So you're talking about reforming the healthcare system. Would you support Medicare for all? Is a question from Jill Sheridan, our friend in Florida.
It's a great, great question. Ultimately, yes, but it has to begin with Medicare as a public option, expansion of Medicaid to living standards, living wages, so that if somebody, because the worst group is the working poor. They don't have Medicaid because they earn too much, and they can't afford insurance because they earn too little.
They're falling in the gap.
Absolutely. That needs to be closed. And what happens? It's the American way of life. Competition improves quality, reduces cost. Let Medicare be the competitive edge as a public option, and let the other insurances compete, give better product for less. Fine. And if not, then they will not sustain. And then you have Medicare for all. Either way, we are winners.
I want to say something
Yes.
to somebody who asked if this was a paid thing. Detroit in Black and White prides itself on bringing candidates in. We've had all candidates from Mary Sheffield to Reverend Kinlock to everybody. And this is a forum that we hope
Dr.
to
West.
educate Dr. West,
President.
to educate people on voting, because people complain about not really knowing the candidates, and particularly, the presidential candidates we often know about, but the congressional ones we often don't know enough about. And so we're trying to, it's part of our helping the community here.
So what about our friend Marlon Hull? Why do you not use your success to improve conditions in India?
Well, I came to America to be American. And so India, yes, it's my country of origin. I have the greatest respect for it. I attribute a lot of my education, my cultural values, my moral values to the country of origin. But I came to America to be American. I am as American as what I say sometimes banana pie, because I'm really not apple.
I'm not banana, but go ahead.
But no, America, I tell my friends, if there is a war between India and America, guess whom I'm fighting for? America.
So will you help Black people get reparations? And two questions. How can someone get a scholarship from Wayne's $1 billion endowment? You talked a little bit about the education, how people are able to be educated at Wayne State without cost. So
Absolutely.
So that really has nothing to do with endowments, right?
No, that has nothing to do with endowments. This is a little complex from the way how it is done. But the guarantee is that if you cannot afford and your family earns less than $80,000, your education will be zero. Tuition fees is zero.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And reparations. Somebody's asking.
Asking about reparations. What are your thoughts on reparations?
Well, reparations is a complex issue, as all of us know. We have to, and that actually translated into equity. And I am for equity, because equity is what reparations will make people that have been subjected to disadvantages become par with the society.
So explain to us what equity means to you.
Okay. So to me, equity also means appropriate timing of use of resources to make those that have been disadvantaged, such as the African American community with the past history of slavery, etc., to be at par with the community and society at large. And I'll give you an example. I'm on the board of Wayne State University. So yes, by equity, we have definitely encouraged and promoted people to get into medical schools, law schools that have been African American in origin. That is fine. But we have to go one step ahead. We have to use those resources of equity to the level where the kids are 1 to 3 years age. All resources have to go to pre-kindergarten to high school, so that when kids coming out of urban schools and rural schools come out, they are at par with any kid in America coming out of any school system. That to me is equity. It is bringing the person of disadvantaged heritage to be equal to any other American.
So you're talking about opportunity is what you're talking about.
That is correct. And, I always give this example in the Declaration of the American Declaration. They said, one of the statements is said, well, yes, that God made all men equal. And philosophically, it's a question. God did not make all men equal, but it is incumbent upon civilized societies to give all men equal opportunity. And that's my dream.
And Les, before we break, Les, do you have any questions you want to ask?
Yes, Dr. Kumar. I know you probably really need it up in Washington, D.C. Just to explain some of the brain operation of some of our legislators, because they're thinking out. But it's the pattern going on that we always send lawyers up to Washington, and but we need specialized people like yourself, in medicine. But what guarantee will you have to be on a committee that could help change the medical system? They might put you on agriculture committee instead of medicine.
Oh, it's a great question. It is a great question. And that's where the ability to politic comes in. And that's a great advantage of also being an independent, because then I'm not ruled so much by party, but because of the two parties needing me and my vote to help them here and there, that then I have a better leverage to then demand, saying, no, look, my expertise is healthcare. My expertise is education. I have come to Congress to serve these two major issues. So if you want me to sign up here for you, why don't you sign me up for these two? That's the way to build it up, grassroots building.
I think we need a commercial.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabria, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
We're
Okay.
back, Detroit in Black and White, our Saturday morning's edition. We're here with the candidate, Dr. Kumar. And if you have any questions for Dr. Kumar, make sure you ask them in the comment section, or you could come on in the room like Les Little. All right, go ahead, Allan.
Okay. So, we talk about our medical system. That's one thing that definitely needs changes. Is there anything else that you feel is pressing that we need? How about the war that's going on right now? What's your reading on that, and how do we address that in the future? I mean, they're asking for $200 billion more, and they still haven't gotten approval to go to war. What's your thoughts on that?
First thought is war is evil. If history is any lesson to us, you tell me which war has ever been really won, and which war has ever been predicted to last for so long or cost so much. It is absolutely an evil thing. Now, sometimes it's justifiable. But the question is, is this war justifiable at this point in time? Personally, I don't think so. Is it predictable? We were told that, yeah, 5 days and the war may be over. War is never predictable. So we have now ended up into a situation where we have an affordability problem. I deal with cities like Pontiac. I'm on the committee of 50 in Pontiac. I'm on the education committee in Pontiac. We see people are not able to afford healthcare. People are not able to afford groceries. People are not getting housing. Are we ready to sacrifice our own people for an imaginary, what I call Don Quixote chasing of the windmills? I don't think so. I think this is a great mistake. And like Allan was saying, it probably will end as soon as gas prices go to $5. Then we, the strong American people, will come up and say, enough is enough, and we don't need it anymore. So that's my prediction.
Well, it's in the hands of the Congress now, $200 billion. What would your vote be on that $200 billion?
And you know what it would be.
I know, but I'm giving you the opportunity.
Yes, absolutely.
And
Absolute no.
I mean, does anyone have a real plan to deal with inflation right now? I mean, everybody out there, we go to a restaurant, particularly if you get a drink at a restaurant, forget about it. But even just buying something, I went to a Middle Eastern restaurant. I was walking the other day on Palmer, and everybody's got to stay in business, but I got literally a cup of lentil soup like that and a pita, and it was $8.50, and it was just a carry out in a styrofoam little thing, and then I felt obligated. I gave $1 tip, so it's like $9.50 for that. And I walked away and saying, I don't know if I can afford to be on this earth much longer. What's the plan to address the high prices that are going on?
So most of us look at economy in a very fragmented, compartmentalized way, and that is wrong. All economies is interconnected. And if you go to the bottom line, it is basically the balance of payments, which is how much money comes into a country versus how much money goes out. In short, we need to get manufacturing. We need to get our workers working hard. We need to export more than we import. That increases the median income of the people. That makes the middle class go better. That's the example you can see very well in China. 60% of the people have come up from poverty to middle class, while as we have gone down in middle class. Bottom line, balance of payments. When you look at 30 years of comparison between China and the US, every year we are deficit by $1 trillion in terms of balance of payments between us and China. So bottom line, calculation is simple. In 30 years, we're $30 trillion in deficit. We need to change that. We need to get the unions. We need to get the union workers. We need to get the wages for our people up so they can afford the health care. Because then economy is simple. If I am better off, I will go buy some food from your restaurant. I will be able to get some services from you, and the whole economy gets better. That's where we have to target, at the main source. I always tell people, I'm a surgeon. I fix things. And so it has to be you. Isolate the problem, you fix it, and you cure. Unless we do that, and unless we work together to do that, and that's where the independent comes in. We need to work together. If we all get to working together and not fighting about, oh, I'm a Democrat, you're a Republican, your nose is long and I'm dark, whatever, then that's not the way to do. That is not what Congress should be doing. Bottom line, we need some adults in Congress. When I look at Congress, when I listen to either channel that talks about politics, it's like I'm in middle school. Where is the adult in the room? That's where we need to.
So we have some tough questions out there, Dr.
Yeah.
Kumar. So are you prepared for them? We're going to just read a few of them. Some are comments, some you don't have to respond to. What is your Black agenda? Black people are tired of being put on the back burner for everybody. They're coming up fast. What is your Black agenda? You keep on talking about you keep on talking about we is no we, and your people is ahead. We spend too much on the financial well-being of others than us here in America. Karen, thank you, Karen. What side of the caste system are you on? There was a question to Mary Kemet. Black people are tired of being put on the back burner and enriching for everybody, and then mommy's issues, enriching them while we suffer for 450 more years. What is your religious belief system? Trump has sent student loans to the Treasury Department. Again, do you have a black agenda? Thank you, Larry. If Congress approves the $200 billion for the continuation of hostilities on Iran, then that will be consent from the elected officials of the Trump agenda. Thank you, Kenneth. Absolutely right. And Mr. Timothy, a longtime friend of the show. Good morning to all. Why should I vote for you? So maybe you can answer that question. And I don't want to go to Negro by blood. He said that the side he wants, deep down in his heart, a man's side is what a family. He says that the side he wants, but deep down in his heart, a man's side is with a family. I don't believe he can be on a U.S. side. It's nothing you can say to tell me he'll be on the U.S. or us side, I guess it is. So why should we vote for you? And tell us why you're on the side of the United States, and that you will not use us to get there. Once they will only do what's good for them, look like for them. Larry Burnett.
I want to say so.
Go ahead.
I think, look, how many years have you been here?
40.
40 years. I mean, the question of
45
somebody's
actually, yeah.
loyalty to the country, I think is I would find it a little offensive, but go ahead.
You know what though? Let me say this.
Yeah, go ahead.
People put themselves out there as politicians. Dr. Kumar has seen a whole lot, and I'm sure he expects those kind of questions.
Yeah.
When we have a platform like this, guess what? You're gonna get the heat. So he's able and capable of answering the question.
No, I'm just
Absolutely.
saying I want him to answer the question, but I was just saying that when we question people's loyalty to this country, like we've seen, Governor Shapiro was questioned about his loyalty to America because he's Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
We're all Americans, and yeah, we have some connections to whatever our homelands might be, but I just think.
And I think it's important to recognize that Dr. Kumar is a physician. He's been contributing to society as a urologist for many years. He has a lifelong affiliation with Wayne State University, as long as with your family.
No, I agree with you, Vanessa, but I was just speaking my opinion.
So the big question is, why should our viewers vote for you? The people out here that are asking the question, and what is your black agenda? If you could answer both of those.
Let me start with first of all, Vanessa, you're absolutely right. If I cannot answer these questions, if I am not prepared to take these questions as legitimate concerns of the people that I am going to represent, then I should not be running.
We have a tough crowd.
And that is good for me.
And they're honest.
And that is good. Number two, the black agenda. I agree 1000%. The African American community has been disadvantaged and taken advantage of by politicians all these years. I have said this for 30 years, 40 years now, that I do not see the change that is promised to the African American communities, and that needs to change. So what have I done for that? Number one, on the Board of Governors, as I mentioned to you earlier, we have changed the black agenda, as you may call it. Number two, for the last 10 years plus, I have been on the committee of 50 for the city of Pontiac, trying to figure out how do we make the African American urban kids to do better. How do we help them to achieve the dreams that every American should have? Number three, we are part of the Indian community that at one point in time, and I'm going to revive a secondary part of it for the city of Pontiac, we had a group of our students from the suburban students in high school that were teaching kids in Detroit after hours, so that they could have free education to make the black agenda more an American agenda. That same thing on the 23rd, for the last 2 years, I have been offering the city of Pontiac with our group of Indian community that we can have Zoom educational classes as pertinent for the curricula so that we can mingle the two communities together for the advancement of our African American kids. The next part is for the last 7-10 years, I have founded an institution called the MLK and Gandhi Institute for Nonviolence, because our Black African American kids are subjected to violence. And I give this example. The first residency I did when I came out of medical school was in cardiac surgery in India. If a patient came with a cardiac arrest, we did not have AEDs, etc. We took a knife and slit the chest and gave cardiac massage. So with a knife, I can open the chest in 2 to 3 minutes. Give me the same knife to kill somebody, I can't do it. Why? The mindset. So this MLK and Gandhi Institute is for education of our kids in urban areas that violence is evil. If you go to violence, your median life is going to be probably 23 to 25, end up in drugs, etc. If, on the other hand, you get education and be nonviolent, you will be Barack Obama, you will be the Mahatma Gandhis, and that is the mindset. So the answer, and I'm glad you asked that question, what is the Black agenda? For me, it is not black, brown, white, etc. It is the American agenda. We need to get our urban and rural. We sometimes forget rural. It is the same problem that rural kids are having, and that's why I said color is secondary, the mission is primary. Number 2, why should you vote for me? And remembering another thing, I'm a life member of the NAACP. And this was not now that when I'm running for Congress. This was 20 years ago, 2003 or 2004, because I was actively involved in the NAACP in Pontiac, helping people out. They gave me this little plaque. I'm always, it's in my study at home, reminding me that I need to continue to do the work for our disadvantaged people. And that is the American dream, equality of opportunity, not just give things away, make people be able to achieve it for themselves. It's the ability to get pursue their happiness.
So I think our good friend G Money Hollywood, 4116, Dr. Kumar, the educational system can provide Black urban areas with the exact same equal resources and books to compete academically, and therefore more prepared to compete in the business world. I think that's kind of what you're talking about, right? So you and G Money are on the same page. Thank you, G Money.
Thank you.
The Black agenda is not the American agenda, which is why I will not vote for you, Larry Barnett. Thank you, Larry, for your comments. We want to be compensated reparations. We will educate ourselves and take care of ourselves. Tamari Kemet, who's a great friend of the show. Thank you, Tamari. She had another comment. Go ahead, Allan.
The person who said, I think they're trying to imply that, when they say the Black agenda is not the American agenda, it's one and the same. Everyone's part of America. And the reason sometimes that we single out the Black agenda is because people feel like it's not part of the American agenda, and it needs to be part of that, and we need to be reminded of that. So.
And thank you. Somebody pointed out, Karen, that Dr. Kumar is running as an independent.
Right.
Thank you for that.
So there was a question that I want to ask, and I see Marlon Holt. He must have been reading my mind. Earlier in the show, you were asked about reparations, and you said it's very complicated. And the first thought that came to my mind is, in your mind, why is it complicated? Because we've seen in other instances where people have been compensated for the ills and wrongs that have been done to their people. Allan has been very transparent about how his parents were compensated. So why is it complicated? Why do you believe it's complicated?
A great question again. Complicated because we do not know the ask. Is it just money? Is it opportunity? So I think we need to have a very think tank sort of a get together to say, how do we compensate? It's not the question of Whether they should be compensated or not, that's not the complexity. The complexity is how do we do it? Because again, politicians can sometimes come in the way. Monies can go elsewhere. Monies may not even reach the objective. We have to take care of all that before we talk of reparations being assigned to the. So in principle, yes. In process, complexity.
Okay,
Yeah, I
understood.
wonder the $200 billion that they're asking for,
Right.
that might cover some significant,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so easily asked for, and we keep saying we don't have the money, and then suddenly, hey, we need $200 billion.
So
Right.
Mike Bunch points out the history of this country is not very good, right? So the point is there's always room for improvement. And that's, tell us about your career, how you've done that along through your career and how you've.
And I was going to say, the improvement will come with you electing and giving me a job as an independent in Congress. Because again, why we have not able to achieve much in the country is because of the two parties. Now, I've done research on that too. And if you want to go in theory, if we elect 50 by mandate, 50 independents in this country amongst all our congressional congressional elected persons, then that will be a good check and balance to the system that we have, which is called the two-party system. Now that will require a constitutional amendment, but I'm just giving you the answer to if we need, because that's what I do. I try to think, how do we make the country better? How do we take away the things that have prevented us to be who we need to be? And so that is one of the greatest things we can do to make that happen. In the meantime, elect more people like me who are independent, and you're likely to get more results. And
So-
then culture takes time to change.
How do we find you? How do
Right.
our friends find you if they're looking?
Well,
for
I got a website, Dr. Kumar, the number 4 for Congress. My cell phone is 248-396-8013. I'm a physician. I always give all my patients my cell phone number. It's like a 2-second thing to my waist to pick up my phone. And you can always reach us through the website.
And we have
What's
time
your
for-
phone number again, Dr. Kumar? I'm putting it in the chat.
248-396-8013.
Very
And
nice.
no question is barred for me. Please ask. I
80.
always have an answer. And I usually say my most used answer is I don't know. But that's a joke.
3680.
Oh, let me repeat it. 396. That means 248.
Mhm.
248-396-8013.
All right, Les, you have anything?
I want to thank Dr. Umar for his candid conversation, and thanks for running as an independent. Yeah, we need more independence up there. I know Bernie Sanders is independent. I'm sure he is out there looking for more help, because the Democratic Party has really failed African America and States United in its delivery of legislation. So I appreciate your candid conversation. I like what you said. And for Larry, African America is, for the Black agenda, is American agenda. Because once we get things, everybody get things.
And I have to thank you. And I always quote Bernie Sanders too. But I have to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to be here. Apart from being an honor, it really is a great privilege. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar. Thank you, Allan, for inviting Dr. Kumar. This has been a really good interview. I'm sure you are always welcome to come back on Detroit in Black and White. And, be prepared for the tough questions. Be prepared.
I am.
Listen, you deal with patients every day, so you already know how difficult people can be. So, and sometimes they're not difficult. Sometimes they just need to be educated about something that they don't know, So thanks again. Thank you to all of you that have participated in Detroit in Black and White Power Orgs. Thank you. I didn't understand your question, but I got it. Larry, Jill, Local Loves, everybody, Les Little, everybody. We'll see you Wednesday. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Thank you.